My name is Dorothea Lynde. I spent most of my life with my parents. They were very young. They didn't have a child at the right time. My father was a preacher. He was very strict on his religion. Every day, I would sew hymns and books and Bibles for him so that he would be able to teach. My mother never really said anything about it. She just went along with him. My grandmother and my grandfather, they were very rich. Every day, I would ask if I could see them. Very often, I would try to go see them in Boston. My grandfather was very compassionate, more compassionate than my father. One day, I had heard my grandfather had died. I ran off to my grandparents' house so I could pay my respects to see him. When I had gotten there, of course it was already too late. My grandmother allowed me to stay there. She thought that if she taught me to be a proper lady, then someone would marry me and I would be a good wife, and I wouldn't end up like my parents. Every day she would keep teaching me and teaching me. She wouldn't stop. Till finally one day, I had asked her, after getting up the courage, if we could run a school in her mansion. One side for the poor and one side for the wealthy, so that everyone could deserve a good education. She had agreed. We ran that for a year or two. Then, someone had offered me a job as a Sunday school teacher at the jail. I, of course, agreed. But when I got there, the things I saw were horrible. Mentally ill people chained to walls, improper clothing, no heat, poor health. When I had asked the inmates and the keepers to them why it was like this, they had only said, "The mentally ill feel no heat nor cold." As I was teaching Sunday school for them, it only got worse. They were with inmates, cold hard criminals. I didn't want them to stay that way. Finally, I took it to the Massachusetts legislators. They understood. I showed them proof and notes and all of what was going on. Some of them had no idea. I had no childhood, but they have no life. They have no way to live. How can they if they're prisoned? Putting them in homeless shelters, their families disowning them just because of what they are and who they are. Finally, I got a letter from my grandparents. Well, to my grandparents' house. It was from people of the church stating that my father and my mother, Mary and Joseph Dix, had died. I wasn't even there for them. Only thing is, that only made me want to give these people a chance at life even more. After I had taken it to the state legislators, many court battles were won. And my entire reformment moved across the nation. Laws were passed. People were no longer jailed. You may say, what if they can't speak to you? What if they can't do jobs like us? Does that mean we just throw them off into jail because they can't do something we can? And if they can, do they get the chance to? When I had brought my statement to court, I had mentioned that there are things in our Constitution stating that we should not do this. Like equality, individual rights. Every person gets their own individual right and has the right to it. Pursuit of happiness, to make themselves happy and have the chance to. And justice. Where's the justice in this all? Finally, many laws were passed. And it was won. The battle was won, and there was no longer discrimination against these people. People. They're always people. They're living beings.